Hi everybody, welcome to Song Tripping. I'm Jim. I wanted to do another listening log for Thursday, September 10th, 2024. This is a roundup of things I've been listening to on Tidal and on CD and vinyl, and we'll also include some new pickups from the store. And basically, it's an opportunity for me to keep a record of what I've been listening to, but also to react and review some of these albums. I'm all over the place with this. I'm going to start first with some recent Tidal listens. This is within maybe the past month. I've been curious about these Atmos mixes, listening to them through the headphones off my phone. So I've been sampling a lot of Atmos albums. I don't know if I hear a great difference, but in a lot of cases, they sound fine. They sound really good. So I listened to Chicago 9, Chicago's Greatest Hits. In my opinion, one of the awesomest greatest hits compilations by any rock band. It's really every song is a hit and memorable. I love the track sequencing, and it sounded really great on Atmos. What else? Synchronicity. There's a new Super Deluxe edition out of that by the Police, so I gave that a listen. I didn't listen to the whole box set. I just listened to the remix or remaster that they did of the album itself. But I did also go back to the original. Well, this is the 2003 remaster of that. Pretty soon I'm going to listen to it on vinyl, the original vinyl, and compare it. But that was a fun listen. It was actually really fun to go back to that album. I haven't really listened to Synchronicity in years, and I have very many fond memories of when that first came out in the 1980s, and I listened to it a ton. Then I was watching the Steven Wilson podcast on YouTube, and they were mentioning a favorite band of Steven and Tim's, which is Vandergraaf Generator, and it's a prog band that I don't really know much about at all, but I've been introduced to them through Steven Wilson. So I sampled a couple albums by them. The Least We Can Do Is Wave to Each Other, and H to He Whom Am the Only One. And yeah, I think that's it for Vandergraaf Generator. So a couple of their albums, and they're good. I mean, they're good. I think I need to listen to them more. I was getting sort of an early King Crimson / Genesis vibe from it, but I don't feel like I'm in a position to comment too deeply on it. But there definitely was something there that I want to come back to. I listened to the Atmos mix of Glass Houses by Billy Joel. I listened to, this was not an Atmos mix, but a classical album, Mahler Symphony 9 by Bernard Haitink. This was very, very good. Very good. Good Mahler ninth. What a symphony that is. I compared that to the San Francisco Symphony Mahler 9 with Michael Tilson Thomas. This is a famous audiophile recording series he did, and that also sounded excellent. I don't know if I prefer one over the other. They were both great. This is one of the best living stereo RCA releases. The Royal Opera House Orchestra with Gunnar Faust and selections from Carmen, very high fidelity. I would love to find that on vinyl. What else did I listen to? Oh, well, I was on a Mahler 9 pit kick, so I listened to the Bruno Walter version. I have this in the CD box set, but it was a little more convenient to just pull it up on the Tidal app. A friend recommended this to me, Howard Hanson Symphony No. 2. This was pretty cool. Good 20th century stuff. Music of Barbara Harbach, Volume 18. I don't know why I got interested in this. I think I came across her name somewhere. I don't know. It's been a few weeks, but somehow this came across my feed, or it was a cross reference, and I gave it a try. I wouldn't say it was good, but I wouldn't say I was blown away by it, but it was a fun listen. This is a new Jackson Browne single that was released, Everywhere I Look. I don't know if it's brand new, but it came out in 2024. What else? Symphony Number 3 by Michael Tilson Thomas and the San Francisco Symphony. This is Mahler again. It had been a while since I listened to Symphony 3, and I think I'm going to start comparing that to some other versions around. And I don't know if this band might have come up on my algorithmic feed or something, but Dean and Britta with L'Avventura, I listened to that. This is kind of like early 2000s. It was okay, sort of like an indie thing. And then this album by Bethany Constantino, Natural Disaster. Again, I was trying to explore some new stuff, new to me at least. This came out not long ago, 2023. That was okay. I listened to The War on Drugs, I Don't Live Here Anymore. This was Atmos mix. Again, and I'm only doing it through the headphones. Rumors, the Atmos mix, sounded pretty good, by Fleetwood Mac. Brahms Symphony 3 with Fritz Reiner, Living Stereo. So I've been listening to a fair amount of classical. I tried out Who's Next. This is the Atmos mix, and that sounded pretty good. Steven Wilson mix. Another Living Stereo, Rachmaninoff concertos, number 1 and 3. This is an interesting, obscure album by Beckley, Lamb, and Wilson. So Beckley was from America, Robert Lamb from Chicago, and Carl Wilson from the Beach Boys. And it's Jerry Beckley, right? Yeah. So this was like kind of a collaborative album. I think they did maybe a couple records, and this was one of them. Listened to it. It's not bad. I listened to The Pines of Rome, Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra, from this compilation called the Original Jacket Collection, which preceded the big box sets that have recently come out. I listened to the Atmos mix of A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. That album always sounds great. This is a Tom Petty album that I don't know if I ever listened to it before, Mojo. It's got a sort of a blues-based feel to it, but cool kind of blues, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And this is an Atmos mix. One of the only Tom Petty albums I don't have on record or CD. I tried out the Pet Sounds Atmos mix. This was done by Giles Martin. I thought it was pretty impressive. Recommend it. Be curious if anyone has thoughts about that. This was another Atmos mix, Little Girl Blue by Nina Simone. Was good, but I wasn't blown away by it. But Nina Simone always sounds great. What else? Oh, all 4 Brahms symphonies by the Chamber Orchestra of Europe, conducted by Yannick Segin. Yeah, these were good. I thought listening to this Brahms work conducted by Yannick, he kind of gives it a bouncy, ebullient, sort of lively character to it. That was just sort of a first impression that I got. Listen to Bruckner Symphony 7, Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. That was pretty good. These Pittsburgh Symphony with the covers like this, they tend to be pretty high quality. This was an interesting one. Foray Nocturnes and Barcarolles, album by Aline Peboul. Yeah, a lot of these are like morning listens, like after I meditate and I'm just in the mood for sort of quiet stuff. I'll go in a classical direction. And I listened to another album by Eileen Peboul, Coincidentia Oppositorum. These are like piano pieces. If you like piano, she's got a nice touch. Beethoven Piano Concerto Number 1, Martha Argerich. She's just, her command of the keyboard and her touch, impeccable. Oh, I listened to David Gilmour's new album, Luck and Strange. I thought it was pretty good. I wonder what other people think of it. But this was an Atmos mix of it. Yeah, I will probably come back to that and give it another listen. And then I was very pleased to see that Chai Coltrane, like the rest of her albums, seem now to be available on Tidal. And this was one called Ready to Roll. I think this was originally released in the 80s. It has that production style. But it's a nice mix of up-tempo and ballads, and her piano sounds good. And I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it, given like the time period that it was released. This was a cool classical album called In a Landscape, album by Max Richter. Very moody, atmospheric stuff. Yeah, and it's in 2 volumes. Yeah, I was impressed by this. It was kind of like good focus music if you need to work and stuff. And then just this morning I listened to Bach Preludes Inventions, album by Mahan Esahani. This was just right for this morning for me. It helped me to kind of get awake. So that's more or less the Tidal roundup. And if you're still sticking with me, let's get on to some other stuff. Some CD listens. I'll start with stuff that's just from the collection. So I listened to, from this box set, the Beethoven, the Complete String Quartets, the Alban Berg Quartet. Amazing bargain this was. You can still get it at a cheap price. I think I paid under $20 for it, maybe $15, $18, I forget. But I listened to this CD from it with the String Quartet number 15 in A minor and String Quartet number 16 in F major. These are late quartets. And the one that really blew me away was String Quartet number 15 in A minor. Some of the most beautiful music you can hear by anybody. I mean, transported me to some happier, more meaningful place. Wow, they were both great, and that was one of those sort of transformational types of listens. Also, digging into the shelves, I'm kind of curious to get back listening to some of the Jackson Browne albums that I don't know as well. And this was one of them, The Naked Ride Home. And this was, I think, an early 2000s album. And it sounds really good. I didn't give it a deep critical listen. I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics. But yeah, his albums always sound great. Like, I don't think he's ever put out a bad album. And this had like definitely a nice variety of material. And one thing I noticed in the liner notes was it was recorded all analog, or at least it was tracked in analog. And this was in the early 2000s. That's when like the loudness wars were sort of raging, weren't they? but it seems like he was wanting to do it to tape. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to listen to that album, see if you can hear it. Also, been got in the mood to listen to some medieval music. So this was a cool one. The Abbess Hildegard of Bingen, A Feather on the Breath of God, by Gothic Voices. There's all kinds of cool stuff on this. And this is the backstory of getting these albums was a long time ago. My wife and I, we belonged to the BMG Classical CD Club. This was back in the heyday of the record clubs. And we got so much cool stuff like this. So much cool medieval music and all kinds of stuff. You know, we got some like Kronos Quartet, and we were just, I don't know, their catalogs were very well written, and they would get you interested in trying out stuff, and the pricing was really affordable. So this was really cool, really cool stuff. And then this is a cool box set called The Medieval Experience. So I listened to a couple of CDs from this box, and this is kind of like both monks and troubadour type music, motets and masses and madrigals and stuff. It's like a nice variety, kind of really makes you feel like you're living in the Middle Ages. So that's been enjoyable. Let's get into some new pickups and talk about that. And some of these I've listened to and some I haven't yet. First of all, I found some budget CDs, used CDs at one of the local record stores. And I got these for very cheap. I think these are $2 each. It's a Beautiful Day. A classic San Francisco sort of psychedelic style, maybe light psychedelic band. I have to say, like, this sounded amazing. Just the sound quality of it, like really good, really good. I was like so happy at how good it sounded, and I will have to do a comparison between this and my vinyl copy, but I feel like this might be hard to top. And then I found a Maynard Ferguson compilation. This is jazz compilation, and the reason I got this is because it has some of my favorite Maynard stuff on it. Birdland is on here, MacArthur Park, and Round Midnight, and Gonna Fly Now. He does the theme from Rocky too. But there, like, everything sounds good on this. It's like, you know, nice. And then this one, the Daydream by Love and Spoonful, Kama Sutra Records. This has Daydream on it, and Didn't Want to Have to Do It seem to be the bigger hits, and it's got some bonus tracks on it too. Now, as good as the It's a Beautiful Day sounded in terms of mixing and mastering, this one, the mastering did not impress me as much. It sounded a little too harsh and bright, but it's still nice to have this because I don't have it on vinyl. So, yeah. And for a couple bucks, not complaining. I also, just the other day, got this CD, Ultravox Vienna. And this has been in this particular store for a couple months at least. So when I pop in there maybe once or twice a month, I see it. I see that I kept seeing like, well, no one's bought it yet. This was used. It was $5.99. And just the other day I was in the store and I thought, like, you know, this thing wants me to buy it, so I bought it. And we gave it a listen the other night, and this is I think an early 2000s mastering, or maybe even older than that. Here's your label. I was very impressed by the sound of it. Like, I know this has been redone by Steven Wilson, which I did stream that a few months back, and I wasn't very impressed with it. I thought this was better. Like, this was better. And boy, through the ELAC debut speakers, it sounded so full. And like this era of Ultravox, like what they're, I should pay more attention to Ultravox. Like I had a friend in high school who recommended this band and this very album to me in like 1981 or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I wasn't like totally in the new wave. I mean, there was a few new wave bands, but I never like bought their records until I got a couple of the later ones used on vinyl. But I think this album, this finally clicked for me, and I find that in my listening taste, like I'm a lot more tolerant of the early 80s, like late 70s, early 80s, new wave, new romantic, whatever you want to call it, art pop, synth pop, whatever. That stuff sounds kind of charming to me now and evocative. And this particular album, the synths are really like lush and thick, and yet at the same time icy, cool. But then there's this sort of throbbing warmth underneath with like the bass and the drumming. Like there's a lot of energy to the drumming, and you can tell the guy's live drumming. And that plus, the arpeggiators and whatever else they used. But yeah, they were on to something here. Vienna, if you haven't checked this album out, this is vintage stuff. Okay, now on to a few other new acquisitions, recent acquisitions. Okay, so this was one I got. This was a record store day, like kind of leftover. Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, Clear Spot. And this is a double LP. You get, I think it's released on Rhino, and you get the album on the disc 1, and sides 3 and 4 are like early mixes, rough mixes, lots of instrumentals on it. So not as interesting to me, but it's sort of nice to get the extras anyway. And it's on clear vinyl, gatefold cover. And this was an album I had not listened to before. And I thought it was, it's not too far distant from Trout Mask Replica in terms of years, but this is a much more polished, professionally produced sound that they were going for. And it was produced by Ted Templeman. But at that being said, it doesn't really, it's not like a sellout type album, like at all. I mean, it's still Captain Beefheart and and all his weirdness and glory, but I feel like because of the sound of it, it's a lot more accessible than an album like Trout Mask Replica. And I'm glad I got it. I really am. I'm looking forward to giving it another listen. It's it's got that sort of avant-garde blues garage thing happening, but yeah, a much more sort of polished, accessible sound to it. And it's the clear vinyl, and the vinyl pressing was amazing. Like it sounded great, like very quiet. The mix sounded great, and I noticed it was mastered by Dan Hirsch with Bill Inglot at D2 Mastering in Los Angeles, California. Whenever I see Bill Inglot in the credits, I take notice because he's done a lot of good work. And if Dan Hirsch was the lead on that, like kudos to Dan Hirsch. He did a nice job. The other used album I found was Hudson Ford, Nickelodeon. Hudson Ford were an offshoot band of the Strawbs, and they, in the mid-70s, had a few A&M albums, and they had, I don't know how successful these albums were, but you would see them in the bins from time to time. I think they were maybe a little more popular in the UK, but I don't know. I haven't heard this album before. I haven't listened to it yet. So well, I'll let you know what I think of it. Not absolutely essential because I noticed that their 3 A&M albums, did they do more than 3? I'm not sure. But you can get 3 of their A&M albums as a set on Tidal. It's streamable, including this album. But I love the cover art. And I thought, the price wasn't too bad, so I thought, let's give it a spin. And it kind of added to my Straubs and the peripheral Straubs collection. And then I've saved like the biggest purchases for last. These just came in last night. I got these on Amazon, and I'll start with this one. It's a CD box set, Maurice Ravel, The Complete Works. And it's a 21 CD set. It basically contains, everything but the kitchen sink. Maybe they threw the kitchen sink in as well. But it's various artists, and a lot of these are very big names, doing everything that Ravel wrote. So works for piano, transcriptions for piano, piano forehands works, chamber music, orchestral work, orchestrations by Ravel of other composers. You got choral works and bonus and historic recordings, including Ravel himself. And also like there's piano rolls that he made, and him working with other people. So this was not expensive either. You get everything that Ravel did essentially for, I think it was $35 or maybe even less. And I'm a little picky with box sets. Like I've been thinking about getting this for years, and I finally pulled the trigger. It comes with a booklet, nice booklet with some photography, essays, it's multilingual, nice. And then each CD is numbered, and it has, like impressionist and post-impressionist paintings to go along with it, which I thought was a nice touch. And they give you like the artists on the back here, and it's sort of organized by genre. So it starts with piano works. So this kind of gives you a flavor. Maybe someday down the line I'll talk more about this box set as I get a chance to listen to it. I haven't really given it a spin yet, but it just came in. And last but certainly not least, I finally pulled the trigger and splurged a little bit. I've been working a lot lately, earning some good money, and wanted to treat myself. Just turned 60 in August, so I figure like life is short, art is long, so let's go for it. I got the Bruce Springsteen album collection, Volume 1, his first 7 albums reissued, and these were done using the plangent process, which is some technology that they use on the old tapes to like eliminate wow and flutter and things like that. And these came out, when did this first come out? I want to say it's been out for several years. It's not brand new, but you get essentially reproduction of all the studio albums, and they're remastered. You also get a nice book. It's sort of like a scrapbook format. So I might do a deeper dive into this later and do special. I think I'm going to even do a video series, a playlist, going album by album and giving it a careful listen. Now, why on earth did I get this? Because I have all these albums already on vinyl, except for Nebraska, which I used to have, but I must have given it away somewhere along the line. Have it on CD, and that's probably around the time I got rid of the vinyl. This covers his albums from Greetings from Asbury Park up through Born in the USA. And for me, this is peak Bruce Springsteen, the most important phase of his career, the one I'm most closely attached to, the one I have the most nostalgia for, the music of his that means the most to me, and really probably the only vinyl from him that I will get. So I have Magic on vinyl. And I have Tunnel of Love on vinyl, but I don't have anything other than that post Born in USA on vinyl. Everything else is CD. Pretty much a Bruce completist as far as his studio albums go. I think I have them all. So why did I get this? It feels a little bit redundant to be getting all these albums that I already had, except for Nebraska. And it's nice to get Nebraska back on vinyl, but that wouldn't be a reason enough to invest in a box set like this. The booklet is nice to get, the scrapbook, but that's not really reason enough to get it. I think why I decided it was worth the investment was because I realized, having done a couple shootouts of the first two Springsteen albums, where I looked at the SACD and I looked at the CD versions, the digital remaster versions, and the OG vinyl. I had so much fun doing those shootouts and doing deep listens to Springsteen's early work that it made me want more of that, and I wanted to really hear what these remasters sound like, not just on Tidal and streaming and digital, but how they sound on vinyl. Because I feel like the reason for doing that box set was probably to deliver some high quality vinyl. And we'll find out. I haven't started listening to them yet, but it's going to be a fun project. But more importantly than that, it got me thinking about, why do we make investments in physical products like this at all? Because I'm not made of money. My pockets are not that deep, and I have to be very choosy about how I indulge my hobby. And I think what I realized doing those Springsteen videos over the past year was that some artists are really meaningful to you, and they are really part of your past, and in some ways they constitute you. He really shaped, his early albums really shaped a lot of how I think about music and songwriting and rock and roll and all the rest of it. A formative artist. Runs pretty deep. I'm not saying he's my all-time favorite artist. I don't really get into all-time favorite artists. There's too many favorite artists, but he's up there in the pantheon. And just as we've been collecting those early Beatles remasters on vinyl, and the early Pink Floyd albums I've been getting, this was sort of in the same tradition as that. You realize, I think the older you get, the more you realize, I don't need to listen to a lot of new stuff as much anymore, but I want to listen to the old stuff in as good quality as I can get it, and I want to celebrate that and commemorate it and have that sort of be what my collection is about. It's not about hoarding and getting everything that's out there. It's about curating and really taking the artists that are very meaningful to you and celebrating them, celebrating what they're all about, what they mean to you. And the fact that I have a decent sounding turntable and speakers now means I can really dig into my past and it's so rewarding. Like listening to these albums is really rewarding to me. So I'm very excited about the prospects of that. Now I could have gotten this box set on CD at a much cheaper price, maybe half the price, or even cheaper. But I thought about that, and this gets you into like thinking about CD versus vinyl versus streaming, and those are some hard decisions to make. I felt like the vinyl was a better investment because, again, coming back to my memories of listening to Bruce in my younger years and through my adulthood, it was always the records, the vinyl that I turned to, and that's what I remember best. And I wanted to get these in like nice quality, brand new condition, and just sort of add it to the box set collection. Like these are really special artists. And I also realized that in terms of the digital, the CD versions, yes, if you want the mini LP covers and that kind of thing, then go for that CD box set. But that music is essentially the same as what you get on Tidal. So I already have that. I can listen to that anytime I want and pump it through my stereo or just listen to it through the headphones on the phone. But you can't do that with vinyl as easily. And so yeah, the physical product here, the vinyl product, won the day. That's where my collecting is at right now. It's much more about reminding myself of the artists who have really made a difference to my listening career, and that's what I want to focus on. Like, I don't need the brand new stuff on vinyl. Like, I'm not hoarding vinyl. This collection behind me this is almost it now. Like, it used to be crate after crate after crate in addition to this, and now it's only like a couple on top of this shelf unit, and that's it. And then there's a bunch of stuff on the floor that I'm planning to offload soon. I'm going to rip most of that vinyl and trade it in. So that's where I'm at. But it's about keeping the things that really matter. I'm the same way with books these days, and I think it's a comfort to me. I mean, this guy's records they're like old friends, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. Now, when we come to like something like this, the Ravel, the complete works, well, again, I don't think you can get this compilation on Tidal. Maybe you can. I didn't see it. I think the last time I looked, it wasn't there. Could you hunt down all these individual recordings and find them? Probably. If you searched long enough, you would find most of them. But this just seems like a nice package, like a nice tidy way to like kind of get everything by a composer in one spot, and it will lead me on to other performances of these same works that I can find on my phone, right, using Tidal. So there's a reason for everything here. You just have to be very thoughtful and mindful about how you approach your collecting habit. Like, that's at least my theory. I'm by no means like a master of any of this, but that's how I'm trying to rationalize, folks. I'm trying to rationalize spending money on this. We don't go out to eat. Like, we just buy books and records. But yeah, that's essentially where I've been at in the last 3-4 weeks in terms of my listening life. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you've been listening to. If you have any thoughts about the new acquisitions or any of the bands I've mentioned, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.